Yeah, a very good morning, guys. So let me ask you, we will do the revision anyway, but have you tried looking at the last thing which we were doing, which was form binding? Has everyone revised it so far? Anyone, for example, everyone, I don't know. Okay, so some of you are saying yes, just one yes I got. So let us look at it. So before I start revising, this is what I'll tell you the today's plan. So I'm going to take you further. There were some topics which I had planned yesterday, but I could not finish. For example, validation, global exception handling, that we will start after the form binding is over. I'll show you presentation logic validation, which is covered in that validation topic. And then I'm going to take you to the microservices kind of architecture, where one REST API calling, making a call to another one. So we will set up a demo and all, and you will understand. And then I want to take you to further topics in Spring, which is one of it is Spring AOP, which is more or less considered as an exam topic. And then we will start with the very important topic in form of Spring security, where I can show you securing of web applications. So that is what we are going to do today. So I would recommend this. Open the yesterday's code. What I'll do is I'll quickly make a copy into day 20 and we'll continue. You don't make copies. You don't have to make copies at all. So this is a monolithic web application having JSP-based view layer. Everyone knows that. And let me just change pom.xml. I'm going to trace the admin flow, and then we are going to continue from wherever we stopped at. It was very late yesterday, so I thought of stopping. So here I'm saying, oh, okay. And let me even update it. So you will start telling me, okay, every day, you know this. Whenever we start, please open two things. One is this content management system. And now you yourself will open that Spring MVC flow. So that I'm not opening. Anytime you want it, I can always open. So now you start telling me what is the first request coming to this web application. This I'm not going to waste time in, is ending with the context path, which is Spring MVC boot or something. Yeah. So the first request will be sent to the root of this web application. The index page will be sent. From index page, user login, user controller. So I'm opening directly user controller. I'm skipping in between steps because we have talked about it plenty of times. So you start driving the flow. If the admin user has successfully logged in, what will be the, where we are redirecting the admin user? Tell me. Guys, you have to start responding fast. Otherwise, it becomes very boring for me, the whole this. So /admin/welcome. And everyone knows when you say redirect colon, it is taken as a redirect view name, which makes the dispatcher servlet skip the view resolver, sends immediately a temporary redirect response to the client, and client browser will send the next request /admin/welcome. So here is where we are entering the admin flow or admin space, you can see. Okay, so here onwards, you open all the, what do you say, actions. We are taking it from admin controller map to /admin. So /admin/welcome. So now tell me, this is again, I'm going to go a little fast so that we get sufficient time for revision of form binding. So in this case, who is calling whose method? You know, controller calling service, service calling JPA, Spring Data JPA based method. So which is the Spring Data JPA method which we are using to get all the topics? Just give me that. In that DAO layer, you know, there is no implementation class. Exactly. Find all. So it becomes very easy. Adding it under the request scope and forwarding the client to this welcome page or redirecting the client to this welcome page. Forward or redirect? Of course, forward, because we have already redirected from earlier successful login to this. So forward. So which is the page you will open? Do that with me. Welcome.jsp. Where is that? SRC main, SRC main, web app, web-inf, views, admin, welcome.jsp. So now you start telling me if the topic which I have chosen is, let's say, JPA, and suppose it has got a topic ID of 2. I don't know exact values, but suppose the topic name is JPA, topic ID is 2, let's say. So can you tell me what will be the next request URI coming from the client? Okay, forget URI, URL pattern also is sufficient. So you understood my question? What will be the next requests URI, or you can say URL pattern if the topic chosen was JPA with the topic ID of, let's say, 2? Yes, I'm waiting for your response. So what will be the, okay, I think you are typing. So I hope you are typing. So what will be the URL pattern? The URL pattern will be /admin/tutorial list. And how many request parameters are we injecting? We are injecting only one request parameter. So what is that request parameter name? Topic details. So question mark, topic details is equal to, and value I'm injecting, 2 values concatenated. So suppose topic ID 2:JPA. Got it? So with that, a new request comes all the way from the client ending in /admin/tutorial list, goes to dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet consults handler mapping. Handler mapping returns not null. So go to the admin controller and tell me which is the method dispatcher servlet will call. I've given all the details with the URL. So what will be the method name now called by the dispatcher servlet? The next method, show tutorials by the selected topic. Everyone reached here? Understood? Because some of you had maybe logged off early. Some of you have not logged in at all. So 196 is still a less number if it is 230 plus something. Anyway, so you tell me, if whoever is around here understood how the control comes here? Okay, so you can just give me this. So now here, the first dependency I'm asking is what is it? Those topic details, which is a concatenation of topic ID and topic name. Then you have got a map of model attributes and the HTTP session. So start solving it line by line. What is it I'm doing here? Okay, what will be the corresponding value of the topic details? This value. So for example, 1:servlets. Okay, so anyone wants to tell me what will be the output here? Give me the output for this. What will be the output here? String 1. Okay, it's not an int 1 yet. It's a string 1, and that I'm parsing it into topic ID. So I got a topic ID from that. And similarly, when I say 1, I can get a topic name. So all these debugging, you know. Now, why I'm storing this? So that whenever I need a topic ID or topic name, I can extract it from the session scope. So how long they will be valid? Till user logs out. Okay, now who is calling whose method here? Controller calling service, service calling your DAO layer method. So when you say get tutorials by topic and topic ID, here, this is definitely interesting. So here, open the tutorial DAO, tutorial DAO, and which is the method. And we wanted, you remember, we wanted it what? The descending order and all that. So this is this JPQL, you know. So all tutorial names from tutorial T, where this, I think everyone has understood. T is the alias reference for tutorial. So from tutorial, it was many to one to topic, and topic has an ID and this order by clause, etc. Understood what I said? I cannot use here the finder method, find by, because all I'm lifting is the tutorial name. If I was lifting all the tutorial details, what would have been finder, you know? Find by. So find by is working on tutorial. Then comes the name of the property, which is topic. So find by topic, and then the name of the property ID as it appears in the topic class. Okay, so find by topic ID would have been the finder. But because I just wanted to lift one, one column, one field, we wrote it as a custom query method. Understood everyone what I said? After spending a lab session on Spring Data JPA, I hope people are clear. If not, ask a question. Okay, so then the control comes here. And so we are adding the tutorial list and forwarding the client to tutorial list.jsp. So here we come to tutorial list.jsp. Here I'm just displaying the details, which I'm not expanding further. You can complete it. It's just a view layer. So if you complete or don't complete it, it's okay. Now I have a question. Suppose the selected topic ID was 3, for example. So when client clicks on this, add new tutorial, can you tell me what will be the request, the URL of, when I say URL pattern of the next request? I said, imagine the topic ID chosen was 3, some number. Tell me. This has to be clear with everyone. /admin/add tutorial, topic ID equal to 3. Everyone clear? So this is what is the advantage of maintaining the topic ID. Now, so naturally the whole flow, you know, goes to dispatcher servlet, handler mapping. Handler mapping will tell some which controllers, which method to call. So again, the control comes to admin controller. Okay. So here, the rest of the things are same, /admin/add tutorial. And here is where I'm reading the topic ID. So I have a question. Even if I had not set this topic ID as a request parameter, can I get this topic ID from elsewhere? Elsewhere means other than the request parameter. Answer is yes. Yes, which one? From where? From the session scope. Absolutely. So I'm just making it in a straightforward manner, but you can test this. You can remove it and you can still read it from session. We have already added the details in the earlier request. Now a very important thing. So this is what is nothing but the beginning of your form binding. So guys, when you say form binding, I have written it in that README, which I shared with you someday, Saturday, I guess. Yeah. So if you open my regarding form binding, read it carefully. If there are, okay, listen to this. There are 3 ways of sending information from client to server. So one way is request parameter. Second way is path variable, URI variables. But if there are multiple request parameters, okay, so you tell me, which is a better way? Is it a better way to add? Suppose there are 10 request parameters, you know, employee details, 10 employee details. So is it a good practice to add 10 at request parameter and read it in that process form kind of a phase? Or is it better to bind it directly, the POJO, to a form data? Which is better? Of course, form binding. It is called as two-way binding technique. Okay. So two-way binding means what? You can load the POJO from database. POJO is a reflection of database table. And that data you can bind it to the form, which is what you'll have to do in the update kind. If you want to update the tutorial contents, you have the tutorial data in the database. Bind it to the form. So that is a database data to form. And when user makes some changes, now you want to bind form data to a POJO. So is this two-way binding clear? Tell me, two-way binding means which to which? Binding form data to POJO properties whenever you submit the form, and binding POJO properties to form data when you are loading the form. Clear or not clear? Two-way binding is clear 100%. I'll repeat the statement again for the sake of everyone. Whenever you are loading the form, for example, update pre-populated form, what is it we wanted? POJO properties bound to the form data, loaded from the database. And so that is while the show form phase. And what is the other binding? Which to which binding? Binding the form data to the POJO properties, which will be done in the process form phase. You got me? So this is the two-way data binding I'm talking about. Same thing you have seen it in React also, Angular also, all frameworks support it. So now, how do you do this? So step one, here in the show form phase, okay, guys, understand the use case. These use cases are for typically what? Create, register a user or updation. In short, post and put methods. Okay, if you are creating or updating, you will definitely use this form binding technique. Let me ask you clearly. This JSP-based form binding tags or form tags, will you be using it in a full stack application or no, you won't? All these form binding techniques which I'm discussing, are they useful in option 1, Spring MVC web application, option 2, REST controller, I mean full stack application, both of above, none of above? Where will you use this form binding technique? Only in Spring MVC web application, not in REST controller, REST APIs, because there is no JSP based view layer at all. So whatever form binding you have to do, where will you do it? In the front end, in the React app. Okay, so be clear in that. But you have to understand this also. So I'm showing you, in case you end up writing a monolithic web application, which is, let's say, using JSP based view layer, how to do that. So what is the first step? Here is the first step. The first step is add one dependency. Which is that dependency you add? Don't say tutorial. Add the POJO reference as one of the dependency. So once you add this POJO reference, what is it will container do? Guys, you can read everything I have written here. So here, explicitly add model as a dependency. Implicitly. So what will container do? Here I have taken a user POJO. So it will call the constructor. Then your container will check, Spring container will check, are there any request parameters coming from the client? There are nothing, because I just want to show the form. So if it is no, then getters of the POJO will be called. So this is where the POJO data is getting bound. Okay, I mean, this is where the POJO data will get bound, and it will also add the POJO instance in the map, in the model map. So here, tell me in our code, but that was a user registration, whatever code. Here it is adding tutorial, one and the same. So tell me, when the container sees this, what will be the code container will be calling? You start telling me the first thing. First thing what it does, creates the instance. Already Prashant has told me, using the default constructor. It will check. Getters are always called. So POJO's getters are called, but not currently. I mean, that will happen at the form binding time. And now, what will it do with this instance? In which scope it will add? PRSA, page request session application. Yes, so add it in the model attribute, and model attributes are nothing but pushed in the request scope. So what will happen? Here, I'll say this. So Spring container creates empty. When I say empty, is it going to use the default constructor or that all argument constructor default creates the empty Pojo instance as in tutorial instance, that is tutorial instance, and adds it in model attribute map. But here it has to use some name to the model attribute. So I'll write it in code map.add attribute. And here it uses the derived name pattern. So anyone wants to tell me what will be the derived name it will use for that model attribute? Answer is it is derived by the this thing. What is it called? The name of the property. Guys, there is an additional attribute here at the rate model attribute. So you can supply, but lesser the code better. So here tutorial, and here it will simply create a new tutorial instance, like I said, using the default constructor, and that's it. Okay, so step 1 over. Step 1 of form binding over. Next one. So now tell me, are we forwarding or are we redirecting? Forward or redirect? Forward. So we are forwarding the client to add tutorial.jsp. Okay. So now look at the import. So what is it we are importing? Are we importing JSTL tag library? No. Spring tab library? Yes. But is it a form tag, Spring supplied form tag library? Or is it a Spring supplied JSP tag library? Form tag library. What is the prefix? What is the standard prefix we use? Form. So now tell me, when you say form, is it using HTML form tags or Spring supplied form tags? Easy question. Spring supplied. Everyone gets it? I'm going to show you. Yesterday it got too late, 7-ish something. So I did not have the heart to show you. But the point is, the method everyone knows post. And here, can this be? Okay, just hover the cursor. Take the cursor here and it will tell you. Name of the model attribute under which form data or form object is exposed. If you don't supply the name, the default name is command. So of course, what is that derived model attribute name I showed you earlier? Tutorial. So this is where you are telling Spring Container. See, it is a request scope. So same request is stretched. It is not a new request. So request scope attributes are all present. So what will happen here? In the show form phase, at the time of showing the form phase, this is a show form. Will container call the getters or setters on the Pojo? Simple question, simple answer. What it will call? It will call the getters. So now be very careful. I hope after discussing it here, you will have no confusion. So let me ask you. So here it has identified. So what it will do as a code, it will get the model attribute tutorial. Okay. Now answer the question. Okay, let me say this. When you say form : input, what is the default type of the input? Is it input type text or email or password or whatever? It is input type text. Now comes a very interesting property. What is the property we are used to in input? Name. So name is replaced by path. So take a cursor there and it tells you path to property. It is a path to Pojo property for data binding. So simple question, simple answer. Should this value of the path match with anything or no match? Of course, it has to match. So match with what, guys? Everyone knows the answer. Match with the Pojo property. So listen to the statement. At the time of loading the form or rather showing the form, what will container call? Tutorial, which it will take it from the model attribute dot get tutorial name. But here we have given the tutorial name as blank. I mean the default value, default constructor says null. So please open. This is how you understand. Otherwise, how will you understand? So open comma Pojos, open tutorial and hard code the name. Is that tutorial name? Some name or some tutorial. Okay. So Now tell me, I just hard code the name here to some tutorial. Now anyone wants to tell me, because you have to understand it by confirmation. So here, when this tag is executed, we already said getter will be called. So yesterday, if you remember, it was showing a blank form. I don't know whether we tested at all. Anyway, so now can you tell me what it will call? Tutorial dot get tutorial name. And what is the hard-coded value I've written? Some tutorial, right? Some name, some tutorial. So that will be displayed. In short, the value of that input text field will be the value of the property. This will tell you 1/2 of form binding. So here you tell me, form data is getting to the POJO property or POJO property to form? P to F or F to P? What type of binding it is? POJO to form. So it is very easy. Easy in the sense, okay, let me not undermine it. Very straightforward. At the in the phase of show form phase, POJO properties bound to the form data. When the form is submitted in the process form phase, form data set to the POJO properties. That's it. Now go faster. Here, what will your Spring container call, please? For showing the value of this input, what it will call? Some getter. So tell me, which classes, which method? Exactly. Tutorial.getAuthor. The default value of author, it's a string, null. So null means blank. Here, visits. What is the value? Oh, sorry. Where is it? The visits is what? Integer. What is the default value of int? Quickly. 0. Are you getting this? So that value will be shown. I think we did not test it. I don't remember. We didn't test it, I guess. And the publish date being null, I mean local date. So get publish date will return null, all blank, contents also blank. And then you have a, what is it called? Submit button to add new tutorial. So in the show form phase, POJO property getters will be called and POJO data is bound to the form. Guys, I think Kunal has already solved because he was asking me question regarding update. In update, you actually see both. I mean, here also you see two-way form binding. But when you say update tutorial contents or update tutorial, you will be loading the tutorial data from database, that to POJO and POJO to form. So if you get time and if you get interested, definitely solve that update tutorial kind of a thing. Anyway, so let us test it this much. And just one more thing. Okay, sorry. One more thing we'll do and we'll test it. So now answer the next question. Have I supplied any form action here? No form action. So what is the value of the default action, guys? Tell me. The same URL I know, but I want exactly, yeah, same URL I know, but I want a yes, /admin/add tutorial. So form is going to be submitted to /admin/add tutorial, but this time with what? Method equal to get or method equal to post? Method equal to post. So goes to dispatcher servlet, handler mapping, admin controller. So here is where we had stopped. So here, I'll just write this just to check whether form binding is working, and then adding a tutorial is so easy. So here, which is the next method I have to, okay, add the new method. So let me add the request URL first. So what will be that URL? If you start thinking in URLs, I'm telling you, your coding becomes so clear. Your whole concept becomes so clear. So let's see, HTTP. I'm purposefully writing host:/port Spring MVC boot /admin, right? Add _ tutorial. Will there be any query string here, such as question mark and whatever? Of course not. The moment you say method equal to post, all these request parameters are embedded in the body of the request, all secure. So start with me. I mean, if you want, that is, I would suggest continue because that gives you the clarity. So post mapping, and here I'm writing. Give the clear-cut names, which you can understand even after 10 days. So here I'm saying process. This is your process form phase. Process tutorial form. Okay. And let's do this. Understood this much? There are some errors here. Now tell me, how many request parameters are we adding here? Quite a few, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 parameters. I added the visits also. That's why I makes it 5. So here, should I add as the dependency 5 at request parameter or a single argument? The whole effort was for reducing all those things. So what will be the dependency you will ask for? So the dependency you're asking for is the created and populated tutorial Pojo. So guys, there is a annotation called as, don't add it. I'm just explaining. Add model attribute. Here you can supply the name. So name of the model attribute under which the data, the form data is stored. So which is what? Tutorial. And then you can inject it directly to the tutorial instance. So let's say something. Actually, it is a transient Pojo, but anyway. Tut1. Purposefully, I'm changing. Otherwise, some of you will think, I don't think so. This is a method local variable, but still. So here, this is where you are ordering the container that there is a model attribute by the name tutorial and create the instance of tutorial. Map now the reverse way binding. Read the form data which is coming through the request parameter to this particular model attribute, and this time what it will call getters or setters. Setters. So which to which binding? Form data to Pojo, F to P or P to F. Pojo properties to form or form data to Pojo. Of course, form data to Pojo. But the good news is, if you have used the defaults, what is the default attribute name, derived attribute name? Tutorial. So in that case, do you have to explicitly write this? Answer is no. I'm just putting it in comment so that you can recall that, okay, if you supply a different model attribute name by actually specifying my tutorial or new tutorial or your tutorial, then you'll have to specify. Otherwise, zero requirement. And here, I'll just, I don't want to insert it. Let's do it systematically. So in process form. And when I say tut1, I'll just have to write something. So let me see the next page. Where is that? Okay, I'll just say added tutorial or something. I'll just, right now this is a shortcut. Return something slash admin slash added tutorial. Okay, so that will confirm. So I have a question that part we can fix it. I have not yet inserted where I've called the service and the DAO layer and everything. Okay, so this is fine. So I have a question here. When you see the output, it will call tutorial.toString. So can you tell me which, okay, I'll ask you verbally. So when you see the tutorial.toString, which properties you expect to be initialized? Let me ask you systematically. I'll ask you. So tutorial name, author, publish date, visits, contents, topic, and the ID property, which is from the base class. You understood the list? ID, tutorial name, author, publish date, visits, contents, topic, etc. Tell me, which properties? Yogesh is saying except ID all. More answers. Okay, there is one more answer lagging. Okay, except topic and ID. Guys, who is going to set the ID? It is at generated value. So it will be Hibernate generated using that auto increment. And have you yet associated any topic with the tutorial? Answer is no. So the correct answer is other than ID and this, where is my controller? So other than, or you can say except ID and topic, all properties should be set. So I'm just confirming it. you know, and because I'm not calling a service layer unless until I confirm things. So we are doing all this. And here, let's write this attitude page to confirm the flow. Guys, whenever you are doing it, you should do it in a systematic manner. GSP, attitude, and I'm just giving some test message, dummy message. Added new tutorial. Have we really added it in the database? Absolutely not. Then what is going on? I'm just confirming our form binding. So I'll say this, if form binding, which form binding this time? Pojo, form data, that is, what is form data? Request parameters mapping to your Pojo properties via what? What will container call? Via setters. So I hope you are appreciating the work. Let it work, and then I'll say. So in earlier version, JSP Java Bean, we had to say in the JSP colon set property equal to star. Then all those 5, 10 properties were set, but we had to write, of course, setters in the Java Bean, which was extra. And then we had to create a tutorial instance or that user instance or whatever the transient instance all by ourselves. Here, when you come to Spring container like the advanced part, everything happens automatically. So let us confirm this much, and then we'll proceed to the last part, tutorial added. I'll not complete the rest of it. I'm giving you the chance to complete it on your own. I mean, this I'll complete, insertion, but let us test it first. So have you added things, guys? Parallelly, you want me to share? Okay, anyway, I'll share. I am not sure. I mean, I've just not tested it, but day 20, I'll share in case anyone wants it. All I added was nothing but a nothing but a one dummy endpoint, not endpoint, sorry, the one method which is not really inserting but just saying inserted and all that. Okay, so day 20 Spring and let's run this. You can run this as Spring Boot app from anywhere. So I'm running it from, oh, here I'll just delete this dow.zip. I don't require it. I shared it yesterday. So right click, run as Spring Boot app and watch the console. You should always be careful. No errors, all the controllers up and running. And controllers dependency is service. So controller is working means service is working. Services dependency is the JPA, Spring Data JPA based repositories. So all the layers are properly working. Now go to your client side and test. What is it? Localhost 1990. You log in as the admin user, and here we'll say credentials, proper credentials. Suppose I want to add a topic under JSP. So here, currently there are no tutorials which we have added. So the list of tutorials is all empty. So this is where it is. So which part tells you that our one-way form binding from Pojo to form data is working? The name and also the visit count, guys. Are you understanding? Visit count was 0. So some tutorial. So do you understand now? One-way form binding, Pojo property to form data via getters. And if anyone is curious, you can always say view page source. And you can see those form tags are what? Nothing but translated to HTML form ID, it adds the ID. See the action. This is your / Spring MVC boot current web application and question mark topic ID equal to 2, add tutorial topic ID 2. You have got this as a link, and then you have got name, and see this, that name value is some tutorial. So this is what should tell you that actually the what is that model attribute, the tutorial model attributes getters are getting called. So view page source should tell you the internals. So let's test this. This was on JSP. So let's say it is a JSTL tutorial, JSTL core tags, some author visits. Suppose already there has been 20 visits, something. And here I don't have any validations. So here contents. Okay, something. So here, okay, take a look at the story so far. So it has got int show at tutorial form, and we have got that topic ID properly. So I'll just put a line here so you'll understand the output after this. Request method post is not supported. Topic ID, let's see. HTTP 405 it is saying. Did I not say post mapping? I thought I said post mapping. Oh yeah, I know. I know what is, I think what is wrong. I am not sure. Let me check this. Why it is having a problem? Oh yeah. So what is happening is, I think because of that request parameter in mapping, URL is, oh yeah. I know. Thanks. Yes. So we never added it. But there could be one more problem, but let's check this. So here, yeah, I forgot while adding. That is one level problem, but I think there could be another level. Let's see. That request parameter, or I may ignore it. Let's check. Oh, my mistake. In a hurry. So slash tutorial. And it did not find the matching. So it told us all that. And when it found the matching, it found the get mapping. So it is our good old get versus post. So the error. So let's see whether now it is working. But I can't write it like this. I'll have to go because it is all session. The topic ID and all is coming from session. So in short, you'll have to start from scratch. So GPA, add new tutorial. GPA queries, something. Okay. So validation failed on the value. And now this is your call because I have already solved this error. So see, now it is not saying 405, it is saying 400. You can, by the way, look at it same way. But here it comes in one line. Okay, so the same line, you just take it in the, I hope people have already understood this. So it's such a clear-cut one. You want to tell me? Yes. Answer this. Look at this. I did not get now the 405. So that problem I have fixed. But I got now this time for this thing. What is it called? 400. Yeah. So which part? See this. 400 I told you is a bad request. So here it tells you rejected the value. So here, which is the default format? Which is the default date format your Spring container uses? Month slash, not a dash, Prashant. It is a US local. Month slash day slash year. So how do you tell Spring container that this is not the default format we are using? We are using HTML5 year, month and day. How do you tell this? You know the answer. I have shown you somewhere. That is core Java answer, Aman. We don't want to write the code. We want to do it in a better manner, date time format. Absolutely right, Gaurav. You remember we had given at the date time format. But guys, that time I had given it, I was showing you the path variable, the conversion. So anyone wants to tell me, you are right till this point. You have to give that date time format annotation. But where should I add it? It's not a difficult question if you think about it. Where should I add @datetime format annotation is the question being asked. If you read it, it will be clear. The description of the problem statement tells you fast. Nobody? Where you understood the question? I have to add it somewhere, but where? Guys, here that publish date property from the POJO is having a conversion failure exception. So where do you add it? Of course, above the in the POJO property. Where else? This is a form binding. So POJO property publish date is getting bound to that form data. So that is where it is. Okay. So go to tutorial.java and which line number? Where is my publish date? Here. So that's why, when you take a practical case study, I get to show you so many things instead of just having a simple, one level application, CRUD level application. So here, please add date time format. And here the pattern is nothing but whatever pattern. So we are using HTML5, year, month, and day. Okay, save. And here you can add this. Try this. That's why I did not directly insert it. So add new tutorial. So now are you getting any errors or are you getting this message added new tutorial? Working or not working? So don't expect, I hope nobody is expecting that tutorial is getting inserted. We're just testing that form binding where I have called the service layer and the DAO layer. And the story is clearer on the console. So check. Guys, take this line here and confirm our understanding. This is how you should be working all the time. Your project phase will be so easy, so enjoyable. So tutorial ID null. Who is going to generate this tutorial ID? Quickly, Hibernate. Are you understanding me? Hibernate using that @generated value auto increment. Oh, here I have not displayed the topic in a minute. Okay, now I'll not waste your time because we have so many things again planned as every day. But I'm telling you, you try it in the labs or whatever. If you add here SOP topic tut1.get topic, what do you think the answer will be? Null or not null? Quickly. Answer 100% is going to be null. Are you getting me? Because we have not added anything for this. So this will be definitely null. So is everyone clear till this level? The form binding part is clear. Now it is the usual. We have to call the service layer method, service calls the DAO layer method, and we'll insert the new entry into this. Any questions so far? Quickly, guys. Already 1 hour spent in that. Are you clear about this form binding? Or does this tell you that the form data is correctly bound to the POJO properties? Of course, without ID, without the topic. Now you have to call. Now let's go ahead. Let me stop this Spring Boot app. And now I've not written any service layer method. In a minute, we'll write invoke. Now I'll write in a top-down manner since anyway I started. Invoke service layer method. Okay. So here, as usual, the service layer method will have some return string and add a which we will do what? Which we will just simply display it in that JSP, add it to JSP. So model attribute. Model map. Okay. And here map dot add attribute. I'll add an attribute as a message. And we don't have a method, you know that. We're going to write it in a minute. So have I injected? Yes, I have injected tutorial service. Tutorial service dot add new tutorial. And you tell me what are the arguments I should add here. So the argument should come from you. I want to add the new tutorial. Yesterday I told this, but I mean, it was a very long day, so I don't know how much reached you. I don't have the method. We are doing a reverse engineering. First, I'm calling and then writing the method. Yes, please. Tell me the argument to pass to this add new tutorial. Because, then I will know topic ID and tutorial. Very right, Prashant. Everyone understands it? Because tutorial is containing all the details. Don't worry about tutorial ID. That is a Hibernate job upon automatic dirty checking and all that. But topic ID, it is required. Otherwise, that foreign key will be null and everything will blow up. So you are absolutely right. So here, where is this coming? Just a second now. So see this here. It is still there. I mean, I've not removed it, but anyway, let me take it from session. Don't let me not confuse you. Because later I'm going to remove all that. So when I say I want to take anything from the session, just add the dependency. HTTP session, which is, okay, we use the standard name. You can use any variable name, you know that. I'm just using the session here. Okay. And here, so I can say add new tutorial, the tutorial and the session.get attribute will give me this. So I'll downcast it to integer, int also, doesn't matter. Session.get attribute. And we have, that is the purpose. You can either get it from request parameter or from here. Oh. We don't have a method, so it is cribbing, of course. So session.get attribute returns what? Object. But what is the value of the topic ID? Integer. So you can say integer int. It will anyway perform auto boxing or turn boxing as per needed. Understood so far? Now it is a 2-minute job. I just have to write the service layer method and do it. Clear so far? I'm writing it in a top-down manner for a change. Done this much? Okay. So now control 1 and it's saying create a method in, see, I just took it here. It is giving me a quick fix. And here it doesn't know what kind of a thing we want. We don't want to object to return. We want to this thing to return. What is it called? String to return. An integer, you can say. Can be replaced by int. Auto boxing will anyway happen. So don't get confused. So, but I will have a better this. I want an adjective. So what will be the type of the tutorial here? Transient, persistent, detached, or removed? You know the state so well. Of course, it will be transient. Okay? Because it is going to insert a record here. I hope you are saying transient. Of course. Okay, so now let's finish this fast. So where are we? We are in the service. Where is my service? So in the service layer, tutorial service implementation, add source override implement method. Okay, this. You will tell me the code. I'll give you a minute. Type the code. I'm giving you a minute here. Do it quickly. Anytime anyone finishes, paste it in the chat. Waiting here for a minute. Are you trying it, guys, or are you like lost? Writing or not writing? Just tell me that much. I'll not disturb you for the next minute. Trying. Okay, okay, fine, great. Go ahead, go ahead. I'll not. Let's say, which manager, Aman, you are talking about? There is no entity manager now. So you are completely on the right track. Simply that manager.find has to be replaced. There is no entity manager. So I am objecting to your find at the persist method. You are still in JPA. We have shifted to Spring Data JPA. So correct. But you are absolutely right. You are almost there. So do it properly. Replace, I'll give you a clue, Aman. Replace JPA methods, entity manager methods by Spring Data JPA, CRUD repository, JPA repository method. Try. Okay, let's not waste your morning time, guys. So here, everyone knows. First, get the topic from topic ID. Otherwise, how will I establish the link? You remember many to one. So without that link, foreign key will not be set. So I will write the left-hand side topic. Topic is equal to RHS. Yes, please. Which is the method of the CRUD repository you have seen yesterday to find the details by ID. I've given you the name almost. The method name itself is find by ID. Are you giving me the correct name? Yes, absolutely. So there is a method called as find by ID. And what we have injected already is a tutorial DAO. Tutorial DAO is what? Extending from JPA repository. Tutorial DAO dot, like I said, find by ID. Read. Retrieves the entity by its ID. ID should not be null and returns the entity with the given ID or optional empty if none is found. Okay, so find by ID is giving you the optional topic. So topic ID, but which is the method to get it or to throw the exception otherwise? Which is the method we have been using since yesterday? The functional method, higher order function. Absolutely. Dot or else throw. See guys, you just have to get used to it. And if you don't give any exception, it will throw something like, I think, no element exception or something. I don't want it. You can always create your custom exception like we created yesterday, resource not found. Here I don't have it. So I'm just using new runtime exception and give a proper message. Invalid topic ID. So when the topic ID is invalid, the whole thing will collapse. And suppose user gives, we can test it by giving some wrong this thing. Oh, you can't really. Okay, you can always manipulate. Anyway, so the moment I say it is, why it is saying this? Something wrong. Cannot convert from tutorial. Oh, yeah. What is it? My mistake, my bad. It is telling me so clearly. Cannot convert from tutorial to topic. Find out my mistake. If I want to find a topic, which repository I should use? Tutorial repository or topic repository? Of course, topic repository. My bad. So let me auto-wire. One dependent can have multiple dependencies. At the rate auto-wired. Private. My topic DAO. Here I'm giving the names as DAO. So you know it is one and the same. Here, of course, it has to be replaced by topic DAO, get topic ID, etc. So don't go off track by casting and all that. Apply your brains. So this was the mistake. Now, if the control comes to the next line, what does it imply? Topic ID found or topic ID not found? Everyone knows the answer. Topic ID found. So now associate. Topic ID found. So now set it. So set it into tutorial. Just call a setter. So topic dot, I'm so sorry, tutorial dot I meant. Variable name transient tutorial. You know this. So transient tutorial dot. Is there a set topic method? Of course, there has to be set topic. So here you have established. This is all we have spent almost like a week or 5 days at least on Hibernate. Established unidirectional link. Anyone wants to tell me from topic to tutorial or tutorial to topic? Of course, tutorial to topic. It is not a bidirectional association at all. It's so easy to configure unidirectional association. So done. And then you can simply say, which is the method to persist the entity, transient entity. Give me the name of the method of the CRUD repository. Is it persist or is it save? Of course, save. So here you can have a, what was that? You are saving a tutorial now. So tutorial now dot save, and what goes in is the transient tutorial. Okay, and here you can give a message or you can give this also, whatever you want. And here this returns you. It's not giving me suggestion unless until I return something. Okay, so new tutorial. I just want to write the ID here because ID will be generated by the container. Container as in Hibernate. So here I just wanted to control one it, assign the statement to new local variable, and anyone wants to tell me what will save method return. I know it will return a tutorial. I want the adjective transient, persistent, detached, or removed. Of course, this is a revision of your Hibernate, guys. Nothing to do with Spring. Persistent tutorial, and in that persistent tutorial, you'll definitely find the ID attached. I generated ID dot get ID. Okay. So, and otherwise, so there are two outcomes of this method. What are the two outcomes? Either we'll get an exception saying invalid topic ID, or here we will get a message and everyone knows transaction boundary is over, implying session closing. Automatic dirty checking will be performed when the transaction is committed. And here, which query will be fired? Insert or update? I mean, which DML? Insert, update, delete at this point, if all goes well. Of course, insert query. You got this? So this is your modified thing other than entity manager. I had shown you in Hibernate session APIs. I had shown you in entity manager. Now I'm showing you in a Spring Data JPA. So I think we are done here. Only thing is, let me see. Where is my admin controller? Okay. Oh, why it is showing me the error here? Okay, this is my mistake. Typing mistake. Anyway, so here, let's see. We have added this message. So let us add display it from here, not here. Something that added tutorial I had added. I just want to confirm the ID generation part also. Added tutorial. I'll say dollar request scope dot message. Okay. So I hope everyone has understood it. Let's try running it. Here I'm saying run it as a Spring Boot app. Confirm the console, admin, customer, all those pages. I'll remove user, other controllers. The product controller we don't require and all that. So we'll get rid of it soon. And let me just, now we are not having any dummy thing. We are actually having this. So here, try this out. Suppose I say GPA. There's nothing here. Add new tutorial. Sometime, and contains finder methods, query, API, etc. So it says added new tutorial with ID 4, but you know better than this. I mean, you can't confirm unless until you checked it in the database. So what is it to check? I had given a title Spring Data JPA with some author name, some published date, some visit count. This was the content. And the main job is it linking your foreign key properly? 100% yes. I'm telling you from experience, guys, if you manage the relationship in the objects well in your object world, 100% Hibernate will, what you say, propagate it in the database. Impedance mismatch. So that whatever is the object to object relationship will be nicely translated in form of a foreign key. So let me ask you, working or not working? Tried or not tried yet? Working or failing? Working fine? Some of you, 2, 3, or are you saying yes? Okay, others are also. So this was my main exercise was, I mean, I had these things. So you can see insert in the tutorial, I mean, all the things. So the point I'm saying is, yeah, read this. The topic was earlier null. Okay, so that we had added using that setter method. So the purpose of spending this time with you was showing you two-way form binding from Pojo properties to form data in the show form phase, and from form data to Pojo properties in the process form phase. And the second one I wanted to show you was that unidirectional relationship, assigning the topic to tutorial and continuing. Is everything discussed so far clear? I'll give you this final copy because now we are moving on to something else. So just a second. I'll give you this. You can try it out anytime, including the labs. Okay, so send you the last thing. So all you have to add is now the logout link and discard the session and write a logout page, or I don't remember. Have we written the logout page? We have written the logout page also. So you can just add a logout link with Spring URL and take the client to the same page. So in short, which part we solved just now? We solved, I have not shown, I've got you the data. So update and delete, you definitely try sometime, or listen to this. I'll tell you the plan. I don't know in the remaining time whether it is possible or not. What we have developed this so far, is it as a standalone MVC web application or is it a full stack application? Everyone knows the answer. I still like to hear it from you. What is it we have developed it as? Standalone MVC monolithic application. So I have a plan to convert it into full stack. Don't expect the React front end. Takes a lot of time designing all this view layer, but backend, yes. So I don't, okay, I'll be very honest with you. I don't think in this manner, like how we write it parallelly, we have been doing it from day one in Java. That may not be possible, permitting time. But at least let me give you some ideas sometime, today, tomorrow, that how to convert this monolithic web application into a backend. Front end, if you want to have your React practice, you can always design the front end. I've already given you the client UI. Okay, so in that case, which layer will be gone naturally from this application? Everyone knows the answer. Okay, so let me ask you clearly. If you want to convert this CMS as the backend, and later you can join it to your front end React, can you tell me what all will you drop from this? DAO layer you will drop. Come on. Without DAO layer, how can it talk to the database? Wrong answer. The view layer will be gone. So all JSP is gone. Next one. What else will be gone? View resolver bean setting. You remember in that Spring application property? So view resolver gone. Will you need any model attributes? Model attribute map? It's a yes or no Boolean question. Absolutely not. Why? Because model attributes were used to, exchange the results between your controller and a view layer. There's no view layer. Okay, so that will be gone. You get me? Will you remember the client? Okay, let me say this. Session tracking, HTTP session. Okay, or gone. 100% gone. Are you understanding me? Guys, I'm giving you the design principles of REST backend, RESTful backend. Never keep all these things. If you want to remember the client or anything, where will you have the session tracking? In the front end app or a back end app? 100% React front end. You have local storage, you have session storage, you got so many things. Are you understanding me? So all those things will be dropped. I'm just thinking, yeah. And now currently you have got a controller layer. You know, everyone knows it. We have written so many controllers as in. So here, let me pick up this customer controller. So this controller it is what? MVC controller, which has been forwarding you to view layer. So what will be this annotation replaced by? Controller will be replaced by what? Of course, REST controller. You understand that? And guys, the service layer, the JPA based DAO layer will be all the same, POJOs and the database. That is what you are going to keep into the backend. Okay, so I'll see if I get time today evening sometime, and I'll try to extract it and convert it into backend. But you also can try this. It's not such a difficult thing because we have got the bulk of the logic anyway. And test it with Postman, because writing a React front end, I don't know your React expertise, but managing it in couple of hours is little ambitious, is more than ambitious. So anyway, so what I wanted to ask you something else. Okay, so when you talk about REST controller, representational state transfer, is it a service oriented architecture or is it a resource oriented architecture? It is a resource oriented. Everything is a resource, uniform resource identifier. You have verbs and nouns resource oriented. So there is a slight design change. I'm not saying it is compulsory, but I'm just giving you the good design principles. So like I said, not React, what is it? REST means stateless, no session tracking on the backend. Similarly, whenever you are writing the REST controller, would they be resource oriented or would they be, what do you say, service oriented? They would be resource oriented. So I think yesterday I asked you, in this case, which are the resources which you want to, whose representation you want to transfer? Resources means what? Typically POJOs. Where are my POJOs? POJOs. So tell me, forget this product and all we don't have. So in short, which controller, which REST controller you will end up writing? Tell me. Instead of having user controller and admin controller and customer controller, it would be which controllers you will be end up writing? Resources. So one resource is what? User controller. So login, logout, authentication. We are soon going to enter Spring security in some time. So at that time, we will write user, what is it called? Login and registration controller. And then there will be a tutorial controller and there can be a topic controller. Can you not continue in the same manner? Of course you can. But as the REST standards, REST design principles, typically since it is all resource oriented, you can refactor it into topic controller, tutorial controller, and user controller also. So I'm not promising. I'm not promising today evening because I need to have time. But sometime or other, I will send you. I have this Google Drive link and all that. So I will send you whenever I convert this into backend. Don't expect me to write the React. That is your call. Okay, so this is what I wanted to say regarding form binding and all. Let's move on to the next topic. Everyone, I hope, is fully clear regarding form binding. So let me, unless until you try. Okay, so a small exercise. I'll say this. I'm not doing it now. I'll give it as an optional lab exercise. So as a optional lab exercise, I would say if you want to get a hang of it, delete is very easy. Deleting a tutorial will become extremely easy. So you can spend time, but definitely try to update. So here, to make it easy, I was saying only update the contents. But now, because that time I had not shown form binding and I was not sure how much time I will have. So let me ask you, when you say update, you have tested that update endpoint yesterday between React and a backend. So when I say update, what is the first API call we had to make? To get the existing details. Do you remember? Get and put. Okay. So now here, listen to this. There's no backend and all currently. So when you say update, here, replace this contents by the actual form. You already have the form. So this was add tutorial.jsp. Copy it into update tutorial.jsp. And tell me, here the form was all blank. Okay, other than some tutorial and all. So tell me, in this update, whatever, after clicking on update, do you expect to give a blank form or a pre-populated form? Blank or pre-populated? Of course, pre-populated. Pre-populated from what? Which data? Database data. So database data lifted into, what is it called? Pojo, and Pojo bound to form. And you don't have to do anything. The same form binding technique which I explained will 100% work. And you will get this full idea about Pojo properties bound to form data. And then on the submit button, you have a process form phase. So then you will be calling that update. And for update, Spring Data JPA does not give you any different method. So which is the Spring Data JPA method you will call once again? Save method. But this time, will you have the ID value null or not null? The tutorial ID will be null or not null? Of course not null. So which query it will fire? It should fire update query. All the statements clear? So you can take out your time in the lab and complete this update. It will be extremely interesting. And then all you have to add is somewhere that logout link, log me out. And that logout page, I think we have already written under the user domain, under the user folder. Yeah, you have a logout page, just connect to it. So this is what I wanted to show you regarding form binding and something more. Okay, so now let me continue to sequence. I could not finish yesterday's sequence, so I'm continuing with yesterday's sequence. Just a second. I'll copy that into today's this. I never wrote any today's this. I have a lot of things planned, but again, I don't know how much we'll complete. We'll see. So we'll see this. And here. So we have done revision, revise and complete form binding. So this was the first thing which we have completed. Now let me take you further. More practice also I gave you yesterday. Yeah. So let's take now the numbers are little off track. I'll fix them whenever I share this. So you know the meaning of the transactional annotation, but it is always good. Okay, what I'm taking now is the exam objective. When I say exam objective, exam or interview objective. It's a popular question. When you say that, what is it called? When you say add transactional, what really happens? Okay, so this is the next point I'm showing you. This is a theoretical point, no hands-on here. So I was hoping that I'll finish it yesterday. So it is given in the yesterday's help. I'll just check. P19 data, P19 help. Oh, I'm not given. Okay, I'll give it now. 2 minutes. So Spring transaction management. Today I will share. I'll collect it properly, put it in the folders and show you. So why don't I share this diagram first with you so you can also open it. It's treated as an important diagram. Popular question. Spring transaction management.png. So here, what is it we are discussing? I hope you got the diagram. I'm discussing the internals of transaction management. So just give me 2 minutes before I start explaining the flowchart. The first database technology I showed you was JDBC. Guys, what I'm saying next, please note. Note means not this. I'll tell you what to note. So from the day one help of J2E, open readme JDBC, not now, later. And there I have said transaction management. So in JDBC, There is no automatic transaction management support. We had to say there is a method in the connection interface, set auto commit to false, which will automatically begin the transaction. Then we had to write that try, catch and all that. End of the try, you have a method connection.commit. In the catch block, if there is an exception, what will you call? Commit or rollback. In case of exception, I'm talking about JDBC API, connection.rollback. And you have a concept of a save point. Have you heard about save points in database jargon? Save points, partial rollback. So you can do that also. There is a set save point API and you can manage it. Okay, so that was in the JDBC. Then I shifted it to Hibernate session, and I showed you in session also you have a method. What was it? From session we began a transaction, commit and rollback. But when you come from standalone Hibernate, native Hibernate to Spring managed Hibernate, the things change totally. If you remember, entire transaction management code, that boilerplate code, you know, getting the current session, beginning the transaction, try, catch, ending, everything is reduced to 0. And in the recent version with Spring Data JPA, the whole DAO implementation class is reduced. But that does not mean, okay, what it only means is you as a programmer are not taking efforts, but there is a proper transaction management flowchart, which is nothing but transactional internals. So read the title of the flowchart, title of this slide. So, you know, if we were in the Spring Hibernate without Spring Boot, we have Hibernate Transaction Manager used to manage the transaction. The moment we shifted to Spring Boot, does Spring Boot directly support Hibernate native APIs? It's a Boolean question, yes or no. Answer is no. So we had to go from Hibernate, org.hibernate, as in Hibernate APIs, to JPA APIs. So that Hibernate Transaction Manager bean is replaced by JPA Transaction Manager bean. So I'm saying, who is going to manage the transactions hereafter? Spring supplied Transaction Manager beans. So if it was a standalone Hibernate, I'm so sorry, Spring and Hibernate without boot, it was Hibernate Transaction Manager class. Otherwise, it is JPA Transaction Manager. Understood so far? The first statement. So you are definitely not managing the transactions. Spring supplied Transaction Manager bean is doing it for us. Okay. Now see, I have said this from point to point, but it is good to, you know, put it on in form of a flowchart. So whenever any layer, so tell me, which is the layer which is above the service layer? You know the answer. If it is a monolithic web application, it is controller. If it is a RESTful API, it is REST controller. Okay, so the layer above the service layer. So whenever any layer invokes add transactional annotated class method. So tell me, on which class you typically add transactional annotation? Choices are controller or REST controller, service, DAO, POJO. Everyone knows the answer. It is on the service layer. So listen to the statement I'm making. So when the controller or is equal to REST controller, you know, it's the same, invokes the service layer method, the one which is annotated with add transactional, what all happens internally. So here are the internals. So guys, finally what? Spring Boot's persistence provider is Hibernate. So I've written it in Hibernate manner. So internally, that JPA Transaction Manager bean or whatever gets the Hibernate session from session factory. So tell me, what method it must be using? Open session or get current session? OS or whatever, GCS, get current session. And it will begin the transaction, which, see, the whole code is the same. Only thing is, couple of days back, we were writing it. Today it is automatic. So this is where it begins the transaction. Okay. Now, service will call the DAO layer method and CRUD operation will take place. Okay. So it could be, just now we said find by ID. It could be save. It could be what? What was that other thing? Find all. I mean, any method will take place. Now, DAO layer method returns. Who was the invoker of the DAO layer? Service layer method returns. Means what? Transactional class annotated method returns. So now some more internals. So the transaction manager being Spring Boot JPA transaction manager. Without Spring Boot, it was Hibernate transaction manager. So now by default, there is a way to override default. Looks for checked exceptions or unchecked exception. The answer, unchecked exceptions only. Why? Because any Hibernate related, Spring related exception is translated from checked to unchecked. So there are two possibilities. In case of, suppose runtime error occurs, runtime error doesn't occur. So in case of a failure, obvious question. In that catch block earlier, were we committing a transaction or rolling it back? Discarding or committing? Discarding the transaction. So now transaction manager does it. So there is a L1 cache, session level cache is destroyed. Session is closed and the pooled out database connection returns to the pool. So which is the only step which will not take place here in the rollback? Automatic dirty checking. Are you understanding me? So automatic dirty checking is skipped because you are rolling back the transaction. You remember yesterday, the test case, we were using that at modifying and I had not given the rollback feature. So rollback value was what? True. And of course, test case was passing, unit test case was passing, but was it really updating or whatever the database? It wasn't. Because in case of rollback, your Hibernate or any persistence provider does not perform the dirty checking. Now the opposite branch. In case there is no runtime exception, you know what happens. The transaction manager bean will automatically commit the transaction. And everyone knows at the committing time, what will happen? Automatic dirty checking is done by Hibernate, resulting into insert or update or delete some DML. And this part is common. Which part is common? Rest of it is common. L1 cache is gone. Session is closed. And since session is just a wrapper around the pooled out database connection, the connection returns to the pool. So I'll stay quiet for the next minute. You please go through it and check. Do you understand? Because this is a very fond question, interview question, popular question, that when you write at transactional, what are the transactional internals? Go through it. If not clear, ask a question, please. You take a look at this flowchart. In the meantime, I'll check something else because I made a statement, so I should check. So I'm not disturbing your reading, but I'm telling you, make a note somewhere. All these are popular questions, exam objective, interview objectives and all. So in the first day, Java EE help, day one data, day one help, you will find readme JDBC. Look for the word database transactions. And I have not shown you because anyway, we were covering it with Hibernate, so I did not waste your time. But how to do it from JDBC API, how to start a transaction using this flag, and what are the steps for the same methods, commit and rollback. And to do the rollbacking partially, you can save the set point. So you can say the set save point and you can roll back to a particular save point. In short, it is all mentioned. If you want to read how to do the transaction management explicitly in JDBC. So make a note of it somewhere. Readme JDBC, search for transaction management. Okay, so coming back to the point now. Have you read this? Is the Spring managed transaction management flow clear? Or is there any question? Clear? Okay, yeah, that is what I've been saying for last 2-3 days. But once I wanted to tell you formally. Now let's go ahead to the next step in the sequence. Another important step. So tell me, your this thing, web programming faculty must have already said this, but I'll still ask you. There are 2 types of validations: client-side validation, server-side validation. So tell me, even after you do client-side validation, is it required to do server-side validation or can you skip it? Tell me, server-side validations are still required. Why? Next question is why? Of course you are right, but why? SQL injection attack is one answer. And yes, anyone can just disable JavaScript on the client side. And what is your React? Is a JavaScript library, so they can be easily disabled. So are you going to, I'm talking about project tip, guys. So even if you have added in React, those form validations, you know, empty field, null and all that, I would definitely insist always add the server side validation. But guys, let us be realistic. All these what I'm saying for last few days is only project tips. Okay, not only project tips, but yeah, majority. So you get only 15 days to work on project max to max, right? And that time, if you are suppose like lot of, project logic is this large and let's say 10 pages and all, don't apply the validation rules. You'll know how in steps. I'll explain in a minute. So don't apply it in all. But while answering to interviewer, you can always justify. You can always tell them that we get only limited time in projects. So wanted to show server side validation in one use case. So what we are entering is the server side validations. And for that, I'm choosing our backend project. So I'll ask you to copy and all that, but let me tell you the requirement. Objective has to be clear. So you remember we are doing that employee CRUD, simple project I'm taking. I want to do it on the backend this, and we are going to test it with mainly. I can't force the errors with your React, but the point is I can force the errors with Postman anytime. So I want to add some validation constraints, you know, on the employee. So this is the goal. So something like this. The first name and the last name should not be blank. Minimum, it should be 4 characters long, maximum 20 characters, some numbers. The salary should be in the range of 10K to 50K. I'm giving you some rules. The join date naturally cannot be past, so it should be in future. And here, I'm going to test all these validation rules with your Postman client because my React might, you know, do the white labeling or what is it called, the validations right in the front end. Is the requirement clear? First question is what is it we are going to do in the next whatever 1 hour or whatever? Is it clear? So now recall our core Java. And in core Java, we have spent so much time in exception handling and validation rules and all. So if it was a core Java case, how you would have done it? You would have written a separate class. We used to write validation utils, validation rules or whatever. And we had to write the methods. Which methods? Validate first name, validate last name, validate salary, validate date. Remembering all of it or not remembering? You remember that, right? So here, of course, when you come to such a, what do you say, high-end framework, naturally, you don't have to write a single validation rule as a method. Instead, what do you think you are going to get it? What is it you will use instead? You'll replace that Java code, of course, by the annotations. So what we are entering is the validation annotation. So here we are entering the validation framework. And I'm showing you with a backend because your project will require more practice on backend. But the same annotations, which are called as presentation logic validations are same annotations. I'll show you at not null. There is something called as at not blank or not empty. Then at future or there's at range, at min, at max, etc. So we'll see all of that. So those annotations 100% will work in the standalone Spring MVC app. But I'm showing you as a demo in the backend. Okay, so let us get started in server-side validation. So as usual, let us start with the copy. I'm stopping the server, as in stopping the Spring Boot app. And Spring Boot app has an embedded container, so stopping everything. Now making a copy of day 19 employee backend to day 20. Again, I'm saying you can continue in day 9. I mean, in the earlier project, no need to make copies. And where is it? Yeah. So let me just change the form XML. It's easier for me to share in this case. Maven update. Okay, so I'm not changed anything. Now you might be continuing with your earlier employee backend. Okay, so please open pom.xml and let us check, have we already added a validation dependency? Answer is very much yes. So you remember one of those checkboxes I asked you to add was to check it was validation. In short, the validation framework support, is it available to our Spring Boot project or not? Obvious answer is it is available. Which is the main package which it uses internally? JavaX.validation. And implementation, there are very good implementers. Hibernate supports validations. So what we will take all the annotations from JavaX.validation so that tomorrow, if you change from Hibernate to some other, your code will not change. Okay, so just close everything and I will share this. Okay, open yesterday's sequence, the same sequence I have copied, or this part I may not have given. Just give me 2 minutes, okay? After doing this, I want to take the next topic as 2 minutes. Give me Spring security and Spring MVC. Okay, so I'll share with you this sequence, so you will have the question in front of you. Day20 help. Yeah, I've sent you the sequence document. I don't remember exactly what all I had shared yesterday. So here is the first rule. First name and the last name cannot be blank, and here is the range. So anyone wants to tell me these validation rules will be added in which layer? Your choices you know already. Controller, DAO, POJO, service, or something called as custom exception. Where will you add these rules? Everyone knows. POJO properties, right? Absolutely correct. So open that POJO and here start. So this is actually name, but what I mean is a first name. So start adding the annotations at the rate not empty. And you read the pop-up, which is the package we are using, JavaX.validation. To base it out of this, don't take it from Hibernate specific implementation, please. As much as possible, will not take anything from Hibernate native. And see this, annotated element must not be null or empty. So it is checking both. So not empty. It's kind of self-explanatory. And if you don't add a message, Spring container will add. So I'll say name is required, or I'll say first name cannot be. Oh, it's a message is a string, sorry. So here first name cannot be blank. Do it fast. And here it's kind of repetitive after a while. And I want to specify the minimum length and the maximum length. So here you have a length annotation for varchar, but here you don't have this. Just a second. If I see minimum. Wait a second. This cannot be on the things. Okay, so this time 2 minutes. Range is also from hibernate. Okay, we'll just use it. I was, as much as possible, I was trying to remove that, but at length, I mean, I did not see any counterpart for this. And there are two attributes here, minimum. So something I said, I forgot. Some values. You know, it's just a range you are supplying. So 4 to 20. So you can add it here. Max to 20, some range, and add a message here. Messages invalid first name length. You can decide the error messages as per you want to inform the front end. So once I do this, I think you can manage the rest on your own. I mean, new ones I will of course show you. So name is fine. So similarly, you can pick it up and put it on the last name. Last name cannot be blank. So finish this much. I'm just giving some rules. You can always add that location cannot be blank. You can add. Similarly, you can say department also must be supplied, you know. And then you have a range of the salary. So here, actually, they use this thing, decimal, min, and max, but currently I'm just using the value min. So here, let's say it's equal to 10K. You can add the message also. I'll send you this in a minute. This min and max cannot be used with the varchar or string size, so I had to go for something from Hibernate. And you can add the messages here. Oh, value. And here you can add a message. Minimum salary. Okay, you can add this. Here also you can say, or okay, I'll say this way. Salary less than. You can add. I'm not wasting too much time on this. So I think you can manage with the messages. More appropriate. And here you can add this salary greater than max salary. Just it's a range. And here you have an annotation by the name itself, future. The annotated element must be instant date time, and you know it can be applied on all these date, calendar, instant, local date. We are having a local date. No message, I guess, with that message. So join date must be in future. There is a way to create a custom annotation also, guys. So if you say, no, I want the join date in this particular financial year or something, then you have to create something called as custom annotation, custom validator. So that is little advanced approach, but these are the ready-made annotations. Shall I send you this? No. Anshumali, you're confused. That add column is for database. Here, what we are doing is from the payload coming from the front end. It's a validation. Okay, so it's not that other thing at all. Yeah. So here, let me give you day 20. src main Java pojos, and I'm sending you the employee pojo with annotation. I hope you guys also, I mean, anyone has the similar query, please understand. These are your presentation logic validations, meaning the front end is going to send you a JSON, for adding a new employee or changing the employee details or whatever, that updating employee, all this we had said yesterday. So earlier means yesterday we were just blindly accepting all the employee details. Today we are passing it through the validations. So tell me when you are done, we will test it. Open the database also and keep it ready, and open the Postman also. You are going to tell me whenever you have finished with the annotations. Let me know. Girish is saying that. Okay, so now let us test it and check if it works at all. So here you can close this practice. So start day 20. I mean, employee backend project. I don't know the name of it. You can say right click, run as Spring Boot app. Don't test it with React because React I can't force the errors. With Postman I can test it thoroughly. So this is all fine. Employee controller up and running. And yes, very good guys. So now just let's add this endpoint. So here, let's see. Post, do I have anything as a post? Okay. So /API/employees. I'm using post. Body content. So now I'll change. Just confirm what your database is saying. So my last name is unique. So let's give something. So here, if I don't supply anything, okay, don't give anything at all, and try to say send. I have said the API employees, body, JSON, all blank. See this. So here you got you check 500 internal server error. Go to the server side console and you tell me which exception you have got. Okay. So you take a look at it and tell me what is the exception you have got. Answer the question, please. Can you point out the root cause? javax.validation.constraint violation exception, and so many constraints have failed. List of constraint violation. And now actually, okay, so in that case, do you want this to be going to the database at all? We did not want it to go to the database at all and call that employee service layer. See this. Can you see this? Wait a second. So here, this is a proxy. So I'll discuss the proxy generation around a little later. So when you are calling add or update employee details, it is calling the service layer method and throwing you the exception thanks to this constraint violation. So tell me, are these constraints really applied or not applied? These constraints are getting applied. So there is another further annotation, and we'll see what is the change after that. So here one way is, see, not one way, one step is add these validation rules on the Pojo property. But if you want to add a new record, there is an additional annotation. So open the REST controller. Employee controller is a REST controller. And can you tell me which is the method we are using for adding a new employee? Go to this method and tell me what was the use of at request body annotation? Marshalling or unmarshalling? Everyone knows unmarshalling. JSON to Java conversion. So here there is a recommended annotation to tell explicitly container Don't just perform unmarshalling, but also perform the validation. And as usual, there is a one word here, one annotation here, at valid, and read, makes a property or method parameter, that is method argument or method return type for validation cascading. For example, employee has an address has a phone number. So the validation will be cascaded on the entire entity graph. So 100% recommended. So now it is what? Deserialization, it is reloading it, plus apply validation rules. Okay. So both the things we are trying to achieve by explicitly giving the @valid annotation. Added @valid annotation on the method argument, that deserialized data, give the same thing. And now tell me, what was the earlier error code, guys? Anyone remembers? What was the earlier error code? 500. Now, no. Considered violation exception is not an error code. What answer you are giving? Come on. Now, what is it detecting? Now, is it a better error code? Now it is understanding that it is a bad request. So it is saying request cannot be fulfilled due to bad syntax. Means what? Now the client knows exactly that there is a validation failure. I'll just copy it here. See, there is a thing to copy. There's a button to copy. I'll just open it as always. And you can see. So tell me, was this coming earlier when I had not added @valid annotation? What was it coming earlier? The validation failed information to the client. That is why you require @valid annotation. Guys, if I had directly added, you won't even know the significance. So just adding POJO properties, just adding the annotations on the POJO properties is sufficient? Or is it better, or is it recommended to add the @valid annotation? Of course, you need to add @valid annotation. So tell me, if you don't add the @valid annotation, what is the response code? I said error response code, which your front end will get 500 internal server error and nothing. But the moment you change the @valid annotation, see, it is sending you a JSON. This is nothing but an error data, guys, error response. So it is telling you timestamp, status, etc. And here, currently it is sending the entire stack trace. So the moment you add @valid annotation, which is the exception it is throwing, method argument, not valid exception, and validation has failed for this. And you will see, it is nicely coming. This is all the stack trace. But you answer the next question. Do you want to really send this stack trace to the front end? Okay, first question, do you want to send the stack trace? Of course not. That is where we'll enter the global exception handling. But what is it you would like to send? Anyone wants to tell me that this information I would like to send to the front end? And then you can put alerts. Everyone knows alerts in front end, React. So you can have the alerts and all send. Anyone wants to tell me what is the information you would like to convey? Yes, please. The default message. And can you see this? Guys, these are all the JSON properties. So that way. So if you remember in the front end using React, we call a service. Axios instance dot get or post, here post. And then you have dot then. In case of success, that callback is called. Or then otherwise you have catch. And then this is where you'll be catching the exception. And here you can supply this. Department name must be supplied. Are you getting it? Here, last name cannot be blank, etc. So first name cannot be blank, and etc. etc. So is our validation now, validation rules perfect, working fine? 100% yes. Are you getting me? And here now you are getting that entire stack trace. So there is a very easy trick to remove this stack trace, but that is where we'll enter the exception handling, global exception handling. But the question before that is, did you understand the significance? So if you don't add @valid annotation, the error code which directly blindly is given is a server side error, internal server error. So at valid annotation, I'll see this supply, or you can say add at valid annotation on method argument to properly to send error code or response error code as HTTP 400, indicating the bad request to send the response error code to the front end. Okay, at validated what it is, I'll take it later. So this is what it is. Significance is clear of this, and if you see the error stack trace here, same is reflected. See. Okay, what I'll do is I'll clear the screen. I am taking a break here, but before that, I just want to show you. I cleared the screen as you saw, and I'm sending this again. I want to show you this part I have already explained. I want to show you the server side story. So here, read this, because this is in continuation with the next topic which we'll do after the break. So here, on the server side, this is what it has told you. So it is saying, listen to this carefully. It uses all, what do you say? I told you, it is Spring Boot is all about short forms, web service, web OS, ORG, Spring Framework, web servlet, message handling, etc. So you read this much and tell me who is handling the exceptions. Your choices are Spring supplied default exception handler or programmer supplied. Spring or programmer. That is why I say these things. So if it is the Spring supplied default exception handler, what it does is it just picks up this information. You can see method argument, not valid exception, etc. Takes the entire stack trace. It has got all this information and sends it to the front end. So if you want to filter out this information and send only the relevant details, required details, what is the next topic we are going to learn? Or what is it, you forget the next topic. What is it you will have to do? Will you rely on default exception handler Spring Boot supplied, or will you pitch in and write your own exception handler? Exactly, custom exception handling. Are you getting it? So guys, these two topics, which two topics? Very important for your project. Spring Boot, validations and error handling go hand in hand. So first I show you typically the validation errors, the problem with default exception handler, and then we will pitch in, or then we will start creating our own exception handler. So before I stop for the break, tell me, in your projects, you will have, let's say 10 control. I'm just taking some numbers, 10 REST controllers having, let's say 5 request handling methods each. Listen to the numbers. You know, it is just for asking a question, checking your concept. In your typical project, I'm saying, suppose if you have 10 REST controllers, because they are managing 10 different resources, and 5 request handling methods each. If you don't use centralized exception handling, how many try-catch blocks, how many exception handlers will you have to write? You know the math. Lost me? 5. Answer is 50. Guys, 50 is the correct answer. 10 REST controllers having 5 methods. Each method you will have to surround it by try-catch. Okay. So it's obvious question. Do you want to write 50 try-catch blocks, as in 50 exception handler, or a global exception handler, one centralized error handler? That is what will be our next topic. I mean, after the break, and you will see Spring makes it so easy with 2 annotations. One annotation is controller advice, and the other annotation is exception handler, and that will be it. So I showed you first the validation errors, and best way to, handle all possible errors, be it validation errors, be it custom exception tests, writing centralized is equal to global exception handler, which we will do after the break. Understood the continuation, what we will do? I mean, as a next objective, in simple English, I don't want to, guys, simple things. Let me not say it in too complex English. I want to replace all this entire stack trace with the relevant message, relevant information, which is what we'll do after the break. So we have a regular 1 hour break today since I joined in time. So see you around at 11:10. So I think I have shared all the code so far. So see you in hours time. Please join in time so that you don't miss out on anything.